So here's a mini series of some thought process that goes through when you're buying through auctions. Over the next kind of 6 or 7 videos, they're like 1 minute shorts. I will share with you what I've been doing since buying 2 lots of flats containing 8 units, so 6 residential, 2 commercial, and the thought process that I have to go through, but also the actions I have to take, who I have to get involved in the buying process to help me get from purchasing to fruition. So take a look at all the some of these kind of I think there are about 6 or 7 videos, shorts, that then takes you through the journey that I'm taking at the moment on completing on these new properties. So in a nutshell, what happens when you win a lot at the auction? So typically what will happen is, the auctioneers, or if it's, in my case, it was not a virtual online one, you have to pay 10% deposit on the fall of the gavel, virtual gavel, or the time that when the time expires, basically. So I did that, paid 10% on both lots. And that means you've exchanged contract with the auctioneers on behalf of the sellers. So then nobody can really back out, or if you do back out, you lose, or I would, in my situation, lose a 10% deposit if I did back out of buying the properties. So once I've paid the deposit, what happens next? So typically what then happens, and happened in this case, is that I get an email or a couple of emails for both of these properties from the auctioneers to say, congratulations, you've won this lot, blah, blah, blah. Please pay the rest of the deposit or whatever was missing into this bank account within the 24 hours they give you, which you duly do. And then they send you and your legal teams the legal packs, the sales contract, sales memorandum, and all the typical kind of paperwork that is required to be sent to the buyers. Once that's received by myself and the solicitors, we start getting to work on getting the funds raised to pay for this lot. So once we received the legal pack, I then had to basically add up the amount of money that I need to raise. In this scenario, we're looking just under £1 million worth of raise that we need to have to buy it. So it's trying to now look at options of how to pay for these purchases. There are typically 3 options open to me. One, I can buy them and pay for them cash. So, and generally speaking, it's refinances, personal savings, and sometimes I even use investor money if there are investors that are interested in working at that particular time. I don't tend to do that. Equity Capital, my new company, will be looking at doing this very much so as a systematic process of delivering value to investors. But in this case, it's cash, or bridging, or using a typical kind of box standard remortgage for some of these lots. So once I've raised, once I've worked out how much I need to have, in this case around £1 million, if I'm paying it cash, then that's it. You raise you have your £1 million plus some cost. So typically for commercial, because it's quite expensive, you then have to pay 1%, 3%, and 5%. It's in a tiered fashion. And I think on one of them is 25 grand stamp duty, and on the second lot is around 7,000 because you've got the 3% surcharge levy for property investors, which first-time buyers won't pay. So that's quite an additional cost that we all have to accept and also build into our purchase, because if you overpay and then you forget to put these costs in, you have now bought something that's too expensive, and you're going to struggle to recycle your cash out of it, or even get a good refinance on a mortgage out of it. So I'm also, so using cash is great, because I am not a big believer of bridging, because I think bridging finance can be very expensive for very little time, and erodes a lot of the value that I think I'm creating for myself and the company. So I tend to, use cash. Having said that, when you are tying up £1 million on 2 projects for up to 6 months, that just means I can't do other projects with that money and buy other things. So there is a kind of a dilemma always within me, and I'm currently looking at other bridging offerings at the moment, because money's cheap at the moment. There's a lot of money flying around from banks, bridging finance. So trying to get a best deal as possible on this one. If I can, then I might even consider using some bridging finance to finance some of these projects that are coming up. So far, I've had some bridging terms sent to me. On average, if we are borrowing just on one of the lots, I think it's £446,000. The booking fee or the arrangement fee that tends to go to the brokers is 1.7%. And the total cost of borrowing 450 grand, to keep it kind of simple, will cost me £30,000 over 6 months. That's roughly about £5,000 in total cost. That's including the lender's arrangement fee, valuation, as well as the legal fees. But that's excluding your own legal fees that you will also have to add on top of that as well. So, you know, that's quite a lot of money. £30,000 for 6 months to borrow 450,000. I just find that is astronomically expensive. So we're looking at other companies and other terms at the moment. As another one that I've just received from one of my brokers, there's another bridger who's willing to do about the same amount of money, 450 grand on one of those lots. And but we're just checking this because I'm slightly excited, but also a bit wary, because the other one quoted £30,000 for 6 months. That was Shawbrook Bank. This one is HTB, so Hampshire Trust, and they're quoting for the same amount roughly. They're quoting a total cost of around 19,000 in interest. And then costs. So we're just waiting to see what the costs are, because probably the cost and the legal fees might end up pushing it up to 29,000-30,000 anyway. So we might be in the same ballpark. But let's see. And then once I hear, I will post again. So in sum, we bought it. We put a deposit down. We got the legal packs and all the sales memorandums sent to our legal team. Now I'm trying to figure out which way to finance the purchases. That we're looking at about $1 million plus cost of stamp duty and legals, let's say 1.1. And the choice now is either cash for all of it, but then I tire that particular cash out, or do I bridge? And bridge right now is costing me on average 30,000 to borrow 450,000. So let's double that up, so to 900,000. So that's going to cost me 60,000 for 6 months, which quite frankly is astronomical amount of money for something I don't need to pay, because I can buy them cash. But the challenge is I'm foregoing buying other units because my cash will be tied for a few months. So let me see what what you think about this, and what would you do? Would you bridge, or would you just buy cash? Be interesting to hear your thoughts. So the next step basically then will be, once I've decided whether it's a cash or a bridge or a hybrid of both, we'll then to strike on that, get the valuation and the surveys done if it's going to be a bridge. If not, we'll just go straight to the auctioneers and try to complete as early as possible. I have, as you probably would remember from the last video, I managed to, I always try to do that, is to push the completion from, on one of them was only 2 weeks actually, and I managed to push up to 6 weeks. The other one was 4 weeks, and again I managed to push that completion date to 6 weeks also. So just to buy yourself a bit of time, if you end up needing the bridge, you've got some time to arrange the surveyor and the valuation to be done, as well as all the legals as well.